our storyteller Danielle was unable to come today. She's currently under the weather, but we still have the lovely Dave here to guide us. My name is Katie. I work for the City of Brandon and Parks and Recreations. I'm the organizer today. But anytime you have any questions regarding the hike, how long, if you need to leave, whatever, let me know. But I'll let Dave introduce himself. He is the leader, CEO of the Food Forest.
Yes.
Top man
Okay.
of Food Forest.
All right, thank you, Katie. My name is Dave Barnes, and I am the chair of the board and the general manager of Assiniboine Food Forest, which is a property not far away. We're going to go and visit it. And we are a charitable organization. And we base all of our activities around 3 streams: nature education, food security, and also, why does the mind go blank? Nature education, food security, and habitat conservation. So we conserve and restore habitat. And we also bring people into nature. And then we try and grow food for the future. It's a public charity. Where we're going is public landscape. We're currently on a private piece of land right here. My own land is right next door. So as soon as you cross this little dike and go down, those woods are actually my property, those woods that we can see right here. And then my property includes a pond over there, which we're not going to walk on today. And then beyond my own property is the Food Forest charitable landscape. It's a public land. The City of Brandon owns it, and our charity manages it. So we get to bring people on and host activities. But it's city-owned land, so they are the ultimate authorities on the food forest. Okay, well, that's the political stuff. Now I would like to start out by acknowledging the land that we are upon. And we should, I think, take a land acknowledgement very seriously, because we are on the traditional lands of people who have lived here centuries and millennia. And we're talking about the Dakota people, who are still very numerous in the area and nearby. And we're talking about Ojibwe and Ojibwe people and the Métis Nation of the Great Plains of Canada and America. So I think that land acknowledgement is worthy, and maybe I will have a story about it later. But I think we should walk with care upon the land. It is my personal position that I never litter on the landscape. I'm always picking up litter, and I'm never throwing it down. So I'm encouraging you all to do that too. To always leave a place where you walk better than you found it. And I've got a fire going over there, and Katie has a bunch of hot dogs. And so we're going to have some snacks after a little bit of walking, and you'll all be invited to take part in that. Okay, so I run the Food Forest, and if you have questions about what we do, or how you can get involved and how you can visit, it's a public place. Most of what I want you to learn today is that you're at home here. You can come back here anytime, any day, and do more on your own. So you're not trespassing in these woods. You won't be trespassing anywhere we go. Place. So that's my property there, and I am a producer of maple syrup. So this is one of my passions of my life, is to prepare maple syrup. I'm getting ready today because I'll start cooking in about 10 days. 2 weeks is my prediction when the sap will flow. So these trees are, all of the big ones here are maples, and I'm here tapping them every year. We'll see how much I tapped this year. I also tapped the maples along the edges of the parking lot. So if you come back at the end of March, beginning of April, you'll see my pails attached to the trees collecting sap. And that means that we have to come by with A person comes by every day to collect all the sap and bring it to the sugar shack where we are going to go soon. But here we are. This is an artificial berm. This is a little dike made by Mr. Ditchfield himself. And he, in 2012, after the big flood of 2011, he had, he had to sandbag his building, and he didn't like that, so he built his own dike. And then the city came along and said, "Wow, that's a nice looking dike." And they met him for the dike, and they upped his ante to another 3 feet, and they chopped it up 3 feet higher, and now it's the city's dike. So they actually own this little piece of property here, and they have the right to come and fix it up. Very good. If you haven't visited this place in the summertime, there's a great tourist attraction that we're looking at right now. Each one of these assemblies of old wheels marks another hole in the pitch and what's it called? Mini golf. It's a mini golf with putters, you know. And so Old Crow himself has made each one of these is another hole. So there are 18 holes. He's made all the greens and the putting, and it's all ready to go. $5 gets you an experience of your own, whatever length you like. Yeah, so Don Ditchfield, who is known as the Crow, because of his many years of work in Brandon in the construction and nursery industries, is very well known, and people call him the Crow because he likes to collect shiny things. That's what I'm told. And look at his collections. If you tour his little building there, the whole place is just it's a massive minefield of old equipment and stuff. And if anybody's cleaning out their old farm and they want to get rid of some stuff, where shall I I'll take it to the Crow. And so that's how it began. That building there was built in 2008. That building is no more than 16 years old. It's new. Yeah, it looks old, but it's new. It's just the coverings that he puts on. He uses old roofing and old siding, and he's quite a master of collecting stuff. All right, come back in the summer and play mini golf.
So this is the Assiniboine River?
This is the Assiniboine River, and this river came up flooded with very high water in 2014, last time it flooded here. And this dike had water. The water on the dike was, well, about where my feet are. That's the level of the river water, right where I'm standing. And that water came right up to touch the bottom of that bridge. It overlapped that bridge about 1 foot. Yeah, lot of water.
So all those trees were in the water.
Yeah, the water covered all of them for 6 or 8 feet towards the ground. Yeah, it's an incredible amount of water that comes here in an urgent spring melt. But this is only because of exacerbation of modern agriculture. That's why floods are so dangerous here now. Well, there's climate change too, right? The storms are getting more ferocious. But it's in the upstream basin of the Assiniboine in Saskatchewan and Manitoba, a huge drainage basin where farmers are draining all of their land so that the land sheds water quickly, and it goes off into the river, and now we're getting bigger and bigger floods. So if we could reform agriculture, we would be able to harvest and hold rainwater and snowmelt in marshes and wetlands, which are mostly still being drained because farmers are kind of pressed to make money. Well, it could be fun sliding down here, so get a friend, hang on, and away we go. Now this is a creek. It's a spring-fed creek. It's running today. It's running under that ice. So the water is flowing every single day of the year. We'll view that creek. So the creek flows into the pond, which is above us here. And that water comes out of the ground as a spring beyond my house. I don't know if you can see my house. It's on the left bank of that pond. It's really a small cabin. I rent it to my daughter, and I live in a tiny house in the bush here. So there is flowing water here, and it's spring water. This brings the fish. So this is the place where people sit in the summer and fish. And the fishing is good. So it's been known to be a spot to fish for generations. And Mr. Ditchfield, he doesn't mind if you bring your car in there and park it and then walk along here with your fishing gear. Lots of people do it, so you're welcome to come here. We don't chase people off our land in this part of Brandon. We're not jealous of our private property. We want people here using the beauty of the natural resources.
I have a question.
Yes.
Are there any people like the ice fishing in winter?
Yes. Yes, there were ice fishers here a few weeks ago in that spot there. The ice right here has got to be 3 feet deep. I mean, if we had to go across the water, apologies to Mr. Grindy, we could race across that river and be back here in no time. That river is solid, and the deer still use it. But we're not going to go out there. That would be fraudulent or frivolous. The reason that you can see along the edge of the bank here, like there's water been flowing here on this side, not that side so much. This right here, and this is just the creek water flowing in and flowing under the ice. And so if we went out there, we might just, go through that ice and get a booter, and it's kind of fun and thrilling, but there's still 3 feet of ice underneath it. Anyway, that's a challenge. Okay, so now we're going to cross that creek, which is a beautiful place to visit in the summer. You want to come back here in the summer. For every single tap that you drill into a tree, you ought to yield over a 3 to 4 week season. You ought to harvest 1 liter of syrup. Yeah, so 1 tap, 1 liter of syrup. I find that formula always just a little bit too optimistic. I never have quite made it. But I'll be putting out between 150 and 200 taps this year. That's about half of what I have done in the past. I'm feeling a little bit limited by my age. I had a sciatica bout in 23 when I last cooked syrup. I chopped so much wood and I hurt my back. So that's another reason why I took 24 off. But, this year I'll probably do 180 or so taps. And you'd think I might get I won't get 180 liters of syrup. I might get 140. I don't. I cheat and use a battery-powered drill, and I just use a 7/16 hole. Hey, come on back, Massey. Come on back, really close to the spring break, either week before, week after. Oh, well, I'll be swimming in it. And when visitors come to visit me in maple season, they always get syrup. I don't turn you away without syrup. You get it free. So I'll show you where everything's going on. You want to come back when you see the pails, the wood's full of pails. You come back and get your free sample.
Hey Dave, so just for context, because I don't know if students have been through the process of how you make maple syrup.
Yeah.
So how much sap do you collect from a tree to give you that ideal 1 liter?
Yeah, that's the sap ratio, sap to syrup ratio is about 40 to 1. So you gotta boil down 40 liters, render off all of that steam to remain with 1 liter of syrup. So I got to collect 40 liters to get 1. And, a tree, like I say, well, that's not a good tree. That one's seen better days. But a tree will give you so much sap every day. If it's a really juicy day and the sap is running, you could fill a 10-liter pail, no problem. You could be 1/4 of your way there with 1 day's run. And many days only run a half, 5 liters of syrup or 2 or 3. It's hit and miss. It depends on what kind of weather Mother Nature sets up for the next day. If it's cold at night, like -6, then all the sap goes back down into the ground. If it's warm in the daytime and sunny, all that sap is called back up by the tiny buds on the branches at the top of the tree, because they're waking up and they want sap, because it's got all the energy in it. So that's why the sap rises up, and that's when it fills your pails. On a beauty of a 6-8 degree afternoon in the sun, there you go, fill those pails. And then if it freezes at night, all the sap goes back down, promising another run on a next sunny day. So if we could have like just typical spring weather, normal weather gives you a lot of sap. And so over, the whole season, you'd want to get your 40 liters. If you harvest 40 liters a bit at a time, you'll end up with a liter of syrup. So that's how that goes. We're going to go by the sugar shack on the way on this day as well. So you'll see where it is, and we can talk more about that. Let's follow this deer trail. I just want to point out the lay of the land here. This is a roadway, and this road here connects all the way back out to 17th Street. It is an actual road because it divides property. So on this road, Dave's property is everything over that side, so we're actually still on my property here. And then the stuff behind me is the food forest. And the road comes from the city of Brandon and comes all the way down here to go to that shed. Because that shed is where the city has, for the first 60, 70 years of its existence, that's where the city took all the human sewage and dumped it into the river. That's what the shed is for. Of course, it's long ago, and there are no remnants, so it's much more pleasant these days. But that's why, that's why the properties are like they are. My property on this side of the road, the city's property on the other side of the road, and the shed there is a nice relic of sewage management in Brandon. Mind you, are we doing it any different these days? Anybody want to debate that? And I'm telling you that human waste, by hook or by crook, human waste in the city of Brandon must get to the river. It's not changed. Your waste from your flush, whatever you put in that flusher at your home, that's ending up in the river. It must. That's the only way we know to dispose of it. And so, ecological thinkers such as myself, I eschew that system. I've not owned a flush toilet for 25 years. I always run composting toilets, and I'm living in the midst of woodlands. So you'll never find my stuff. You'll never find it. I take it out, it comes out of my toilet in a tray, and I've got so much woods to take it to, you'll never smell it, you'll never know it's there. But, it's a practical solution for one family. It works. Anyway, that's the...
Kevin had a question about some trees.
Yeah.
Oh, can you tap any tree, or is that?
You
is it
can.
Maple?
Many trees have sweet sap.
Yeah.
Yeah, including birch. In our neck of the woods, there are no birch, but up north, birch trees, and any maple tree. It's not just, I'm tapping these Manitoba maple trees.
Right.
Every maple has sweet sap. I know in Bangladesh they do another one because my friend told me. I can't remember the name of the tree, but yeah, tapping trees for sweet sap is a worldwide phenomenon. Yeah. I'm going to pass this around. I think we're going to start cooking. Have a good look at that deer shed. That's a healthy male white-tailed deer. I'll tell a story about it soon, but I think I want to get the grill on and get cooking. Lots of kids come through here, lots of young kids, who fancy themselves to be deer hunters, and they really enjoy nature, and so young boys of grade 7 or grade 8 or something, they'll find one of these shed antlers on the ground, because there are many deer here. There are probably 50 to 60 deer that reside here every night. They sleep in those woods down there. They know they're safe. And so they come here and they're never going to be bothered. But you see one of these shed antlers on the ground, and a young boy will just grab it and say, whoa, can I take it home? Oh, I want to take it home. And, they can be very possessive of their shed antlers because, whoa, that's a nice one. But my lesson is, and it's not storytelling. I can't really tell stories the way we might have planned, like Katie would have planned for an Indigenous storyteller to tell us some good tall tales from the Indigenous collection, But the story of the antler is that you shouldn't take them home. And if your Uncle Joe is tacking them up on his garage and he's got 50 sheds on his garage, you could give him a little lesson and say, you know what? The investment that a deer puts into this is not wasted on the environment. These are a humongous source of calcium. The deer has to eat a lot of plant material to get this much calcium. And he eats foods that are rich in that particular element, and they also will lick salt. They'll find salt coming out of the ground and lick it to get calcium. So this shed, if it were left on the ground, which I didn't do, but this shed properly left on the ground is a source of calcium for microteens. Microteens are mice, shrews, voles, all the little crawly things. They need this for life. This is what they will chew. So when I'm brave one day, I'll take my teaching bones and throw them all away in the woods and give them back to nature, because this will be chewed up by mice, and it will be their source of calcium. They don't have another. They would be struggling to get their calcium otherwise. So that's my deer shed story. Kind of a tame one to start off. So I don't know if I get any exciting stories. Wow, those are nice looking hot dogs, Katie. I'm telling you. We could even toast buns on there.
Can you tell us, Dave? Can you tell us a little bit about what the Assiniboine Food Forest is?
Yes. We're a charitable organization. We have a federal charitable number, so we can accept donations. We are looking to, we want to use this city's land as a demonstration. We want to restore ecosystems on it. Now it has a couple of really nice chunks of forest, like big oak woods behind you there, and big oak woods on the way out. So we're conserving habitat, but we also are dedicated to bringing habitat back, restoring, because in humans' inevitable way, what we tend to do is destroy habitat. And when are we ever going to get around to restoring it? So we think that this lesson is important for everyone to learn. And so we're restoring habitat in many ways, and we'll list a few. And then we do education, so we invite school groups to come, and groups of all kinds to come. And we can do customized lessons, or we can just do a wander through. In the summertime, we're often doing a tree. We restore forests down the trail by the river by caging and tubing trees to protect them from deer. So that's a nice activity for school kids to do, even younger ones. And then we are looking to create food for the future. So this orchard, this fenced area over that away, is an orchard. We have planted over, I got to get a count on the number of trees in there, but we are about 80% full in that orchard. And we're hoping that we'll get a nice crop of fruit soon. We first planted trees in there in 2017. So we will work towards food security in any way we can. That was our first effort. Where we restored a prairie just behind the folks here. You can see a circle of snow there, which with some interesting plants poking out of it. That's a native prairie. So we are restoring forest, we're restoring prairie. We hope very dearly to restore a wetland also. And once we get a wetland restored, we'll set about restoring forest in that whole parcel, which this food forest property stretches down 1 kilometer from here. And that big field down there is all part of our dreamscape. And we also host trails, so we've built trails across that landscape, and the people from the community bring their dogs to walk, or just themselves, because it's really beautiful walking. And here's a trail that invites people into the woods. Sometimes people come over the trail from Crows, and then they get wandering down here, and then they don't know where to go. Well, if you want to still see nature, it's that way. There's the nature trail, and the deer are showing you where it is. There it is. Let's have a wee, I want to take a little tour of the Sugar Shack and show you that right now. There's one more lesson I wanted to give. I'll give it right now. And it is, story. Well, it's not really a story. I just want to say that, the land acknowledgement that I gave earlier, I think it's important to do land acknowledgements. I do. I really think that the colonial culture and my ancestors here, I'm 100% colonial. I don't have a drop of indigenous blood in me. Not to this landscape. My ancestors came from Scotland. But we're all indigenous somewhere. And the truth of it is that this land has been stolen. I'm sorry, I'm saying it. It's been stolen. My ancestors stole this land. Come on. How nice was that? And when are we ever going to pay it back? That's my question. How are we going to pay it back? So every time I hear a land acknowledgement, I say, okay, that's great. Yep, I agree. It's nice to acknowledge that harm has been done to our indigenous brothers and sisters in the past and in the present. But my question is, what are we going to do about it? That's what I want to hear. Who's going to restore the land? Who's going to make not simply, who's going to make restitution and heal the wounds that we've caused, our ancestors have caused? There's a lot of work to be done. And so I say that is the purpose of this landscape here. I want to restore the ecosystems on it. I want to restore the wetland and make a thriving wetland and a thriving forest. I want to bring nature back. That's what I'm going to do to heal the wounds that my culture has brought to this land. And so I'm going to say to you young people, get ready. Pick your dream and pick your activity, because you're going to be required to stand for something. You're going to have to stand up and represent something and make a contribution with your life. And we just can't simply go on destroying ecosystems forever and ever. We've already done it as much as we possibly can. We got to start restoring them. There, that's my motivational speech. That's what I got. There it is. That's a syrup evaporator. That is built in Quebec. Ça, c'est le produit du Canada français. There it is. Yeah. Evaporateur small incorporé. So it is a French-built piece of equipment. And down in here, in the firebox, I build a roaring fire. And there's the wood. I'm going to burn through that wood in 4 weeks. That'll all be gone. If I put out 250 taps, I'll probably have a little bit of wood left over. And up on the back, behind the shack, there's a deck, a big deck, which I'll put a huge tank on for holding the sap. And then my sap helpers, my sap haulers, they will go, you know, bring the sap here in toboggans, in big buckets in toboggans from all around the forest. And then they'll walk up that stairway and then pour the 20-liter pails of sap into the tank, so that when I'm evaporating in here, all the sap comes in by gravity. So this is just a glorious steam bath when I'm working all day long. It's steaming like crazy, and the syrup is accumulating in that front pan. At the end of the day, when I decide I've had enough, I'll just pull the fire out and therefore turn everything off, you know, by pulling out the fire. And then I take the steaming hot syrup and drain it out into big steel pans. And then in the morning, I put it in the freezer. So if you really want to see the process, come on back when it's happening. You know how to get here now. I'll show you some good parking spots when we get down to that end, so that you know where to park your vehicle. I mean, it is a roadway. I bring my vehicles right around here every day. We don't want vehicles going on the Food Forest property, but still, there's good parking, and I'll show you where you can park. So I would love to see you guys come back in any season for adventures here. But it's a good season coming up. 3 weeks from now, this place will be sweet.